Hello, everyone, and welcome to the RV Inspection and Care podcast and video. I'm Dwayne. I'm a certified RV inspector, and today we're going to be talking about 5 good and bad takeaways from the Tampa RV Supershow this year. Now, I just got back from the Super Show, and boy, did I see a lot of RVs. I was able to inspect dozens and dozens of them, and I was also able to talk to a lot of factory representatives, ask them questions, and I learned a lot about what's going on in the industry right now and what to expect coming up in the year or so ahead. Now, if you'll remember, if you followed my channel, you know that I went to the Hershey RV show in Pennsylvania in September of last year. Now, I go to these 2 shows because they're really the industry's shows. There are other big RV shows through the year, but they're mainly focused on sales. These are the ones that the industry likes to attend and show off what they're doing and let you ask questions of the factory. So it's really good. And I plan to repeat this year after year going to both of these shows. What's the purpose? The whole purpose is to help you know as much as possible about RVs, the RV industry, and what's going on in it, help you make good decisions about buying RVs and about buying RV equipment and gear as well. Now, the way I go through the show is really different from the way a lot of other RV influencers on social media do. They like to go through the show with a tag that says they're media, and then they get attention that way. I don't want that. I like to go through the show incognito as much as I can, because I don't want any special treatment. The problem with that is that sometimes you don't see everything you should see. I want to go through as a normal RV buyer and get the whole gamut of what's being presented there. Not just the positive things, but also the negative things as well. Now, there's too much to cover about the show in one video this year. So there's going to be this one and one again next week. This one is about 5 big takeaways from the show that I learned, and about some of them being good and some of them being bad. Let's start with the bad. And the first takeaway is that I listened very carefully as I went through the show. I especially listened to RV buyers. I wanted to find out, what are they focusing on? What is most important to them as they go through the show? And unfortunately, what I heard was a real emphasis on things like colors and floor plans and layout, appearance and size and amenities and all those things, but hardly any mention about quality, build quality, and which brands are doing that. Now, my friends, let me make this very clear. I do believe that all those other things are important, very important, if you want to get an RV that fits you individually. But I do believe that overall build quality and brand quality should be number 1. It should be the big priority, and then everything can be discussed from there. Instead, what I heard was a lot of buyers comparing wildly different brands in terms of quality on nothing but features alone. Well, that's a very good way to get disappointed with the RV that you buy, because that RV may wind up to be very poor in quality, and you're not going to be happy with it no matter how it looks or what features it has in it. So I believe that RV buyers need to be educated on the brands that will build with better overall quality. Then, once they've eliminated a whole bunch of the RV show, they can focus on those brands and talk to their heart's content about colors and size and layout and all of those other things. So let's hope in the years ahead, better education will take place for RV buyers. Now, the second takeaway that wasn't good is I also listened to the sales people as I went through, again, hoping that they are going to improve their education and be able to communicate that to RV buyers. Once again, very disappointed in what I heard. I heard a lot of salespeople just giving people wrong information. And I'm talking about some of the ones that were even associated with the manufacturer. Really poor information coming out. So that again is not improving at this point. Let's hope that turns around in the years ahead. Now let's move on to the third takeaway. We're going to get into the good ones now. The third takeaway is that, as far as I can tell, the effects of the COVID pandemic on manufacturing processes seems to be completely diminishing now to the point that it really doesn't contribute much. And that's a very good thing. It means that the better brands are back to building with better quality and making better products in general. And that's very encouraging. Now, I've made 2 videos in the past on COVID-built RVs, one during the COVID on new RVs, one just recently on used COVID-built RVs. And if you want to look those over, it's actually a good idea to do that. But let me just say this. I am encouraged by what I see as I go through and look at the manufacturer's products. Now, the new RVs are clearly no longer being affected by COVID like they were. What we're seeing is the manufacturers that built with better quality before the pandemic are pretty much building with better quality afterward now. And the ones that really have never cared that much about quality, they're just turning them out. Well, they're pretty much going back to what they did as well. So anyway, the effects of COVID are pretty much in the rearview mirror now, and that's good. Now let's move on to takeaway number 4. I'm very pleased to see this, and that is I saw suspension upgrades for towable RVs being advertised by several of the better RV brands. This is good. This has been something I've really been concerned about, because when you think about it, most towable RVs out there are on a suspension that's just basically leaf spring suspension. And you know what? That's about the same thing that the old Model T Fords were built on. That's how far that technology goes back. So what that means is that as you go down the road with a poor suspension like that, well, you're going to get a lot of shaking, a lot of vibration into the RV. It gets transmitted from the suspension into the RV, earthquake forces that just shake things loose and break things as you're going down the highway. So if you can install a better suspension system, guess what? It lowers all of those problems. And at the show, there were several manufacturers that were advertising the use of a new CURT coil spring system with shock absorbers that CURT claims reduces vibration and shaking by 50%. And according to them, that's going to make a much better ride. If that's the case, well, then you're actually going to see those RVs hold up better. They're not going to break as often. Things are going to be just better. The quality that comes out of the factory continues to be perpetuated for longer. And that is good. It's going to reduce issues for RV owners. The good news is apparently manufacturers are giving attention to it and they're starting to come up with solutions. That's a positive thing. Okay, now moving on to number 5, and it's a takeaway that's again very good, and that is it's clear that we're finally moving on from old air conditioner technology. What a good thing. I've been complaining about that for a while because the air conditioners that have been put in RVs for a while now have been loud and inefficient, and many times they break. They don't last very long. The good news is, going through the show, it's apparent that more and more builders and manufacturers are committed to using newer technology for air conditioning. They're quieter, they're more efficient units. And so the old technology is headed out the door, and thank goodness, good riddance. We don't need that. So if you're buying a new RV, here's what you want to look for. Look for products that have the Coleman Mach Q series, and there was a lot of them at the show. Now, not the normal Coleman Mach air conditioners. The Q series is what you want to look for. Also, GUIDE air conditioners. Now, you may never have heard of GUIDE, but actually, they're a pretty good size air conditioning manufacturer in Europe, and now they're making their way here. And let me tell you, they produce some of the quietest and most efficient air conditioners I have ever seen in an RV. Another good one is Furrion. Furrion is getting into the battle here with the Chill Cube. And only a few really manufacturers are putting them in right now, but talking to the Furrion rep, he assured me that over the next couple of years, you're going to see that expand dramatically into other manufacturers. So the good news is this one area of RV components, the air conditioner, that so many people have been complaining about for so long, well, it looks like we're getting some relief coming in that area. And that's very good to see. Now, let me conclude by saying that my channel, our focus here is on overall build quality. I'm not going to take you through the RVs and show you this feature and that color and that layout. There's a lot of other people online that do that, and they do really a pretty good job about that. But this channel is about overall build quality. So what I discussed today kind of lends toward that, but my next video is going to be about changes in brands of RVs. Some changed for the better, some changed for the worse. And that means that my recommendations to you on which RV brands to focus on, well, they're going to be changing too. So tune in to the next video and find out why. And that's it for now. Have safe and happy travels, my friends. Until next time.